Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of For the Health of It. I am Tania Gustafson, your nutritionist and fitness coach with Fit Nutrition here in the Okanagan Valley, located right here in beautiful Kelowna, where we help people live longer, stronger, healthier, better lives naturally. I would like to give a big thank you to Okanagan Valley Radio for airing my podcast and providing health information to the Valley. Just want to give a big shout out to them and congratulations on their new launch of this amazing 24-hour digital radio. So good job, guys. I'm looking forward to all the interesting content that you're going to be providing for Kelowna and all the area around. So as I said, my name is Tania Gustafson. I'm a nutritionist and fitness coach. I am certified and licensed through Mark McDonald's Venice Nutrition Company down in the United States. And if that name sounds familiar to you, you may have heard or seen him on Dr. Oz or on HLN News. And he is just a globally, internationally renowned nutritionist and fitness expert. He is ambassador with the American Diabetic Association. And when I met with Mark many years ago, about 6 years ago or so now, I just really loved his whole philosophy on nutrition and balance and how to do that in a way that we could reach many, many people in a practical way without people having to diet or give up things that they love in order to improve their health. And so that was a wonderful philosophy. And so I just jumped on board with him. And there are only about 5 of us right now coaching this sort of program in Canada. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of background about me and where I came from and why I do what I do. And then we'll jump into the topic today. So I was born and raised in Kelowna, so yay, Kelowna. My dad was one of the original hockey players on the Kelowna Buckaroos team. For any other of you original Kelowna people, you might remember that. There's the pictures in the old Memorial Arena. That's pretty exciting. So I'm a little bit proud of that. And my dad was also born here in the Valley. So not too many of us left, I know, but there's a few of you out there I know that are cheering right now, so yay. And it's really been wonderful to grow up in this beautiful city and see the growth and just see all the new exciting things that are happening here in the Valley lately. And I just would like to give a great shout out to people in Kelowna and in BC for we are known as being the healthiest, one of the healthiest areas in Canada. So in case you didn't know, good job. We're already doing a whole bunch of great things, and that doesn't mean that we can't expand on that and keep going, because every time we learn a little bit better, we can do a little bit better. So my background, I come from, like I said, I was born here in Kelowna. I grew up on a farm, and we had horses and cattle, and not a huge farm, but we were kind of like a hobby farm. We had a huge garden. We did all our own canning. My dad hunted, and we raised our own beef, and we got our eggs and milk from the neighbors from their farms and all those kinds of things. And so, I grew up with this sort of health and not even really realizing it, but not eating a lot of packaged foods. We hardly ever went out to restaurants, and that was pretty much, that was kind of a cost related thing too, but I'm very thankful that that wasn't something that my parents wanted to indulge in, was all those packaged things and going out to eat. Now that's not to say that we didn't have our treats. Every time we went camping, we were allowed to have pop and chips and those kinds of things, and at Christmas we had candies and all that sort of thing. But just looking back on what people used to do as like a treat and what is happening today as more of a mainstream is just really alarming. And that's, fueling a lot of the lifestyle diseases that are out there right now. So we'll come back to that in a little bit. But so like I said, I grew up on a farm here in Rutland. Went to school in Rutland. I still live in Rutland. I have wonderful neighbors, and I love this area. And so I just love to give back to the community and help people get healthier. And so what I found growing up, though, was interesting because my parents, they really look young for their age. They've always been very active. Like I said, we grew all our own food and all that kind of stuff for the most part. And so we had a fairly, healthy lifestyle, I thought, growing up. And yet, when I was a teenager, my dad, way back when I was about 16, he was seeking out a naturopath. And believe it or not, way back when in Kelowna, we did have one. His name was Ed, and I honestly cannot remember his last name. And I'm sure he's passed on by now. He was quite elderly at the time. But he was a wonderful man. And my dad was just not feeling well and having all these, just lack of strength and lack of energy. And so he had heard about this gentleman, so he went to go see him. And what they found out was that my dad had a sugar imbalance. And so when he took care of that with food, not with medication, he was able to to change and feel healthier and get his energy back. And I can tell you that his, not only did that change, but wow, his personality really changed. His he was a lot happier, a lot more relaxed. And I just saw these things growing up. And so way back, when I was a teenager, I didn't pay much attention to it, a little bit, and then I kind of filed it away. But as I got older and looked back on these things, I can see the difference that investing in your health can make. And then my mom, about 20 years ago, she got cancer. She had breast cancer, and she, through the biopsies that they discovered, she had 2 different types of rapidly advancing breast cancers, 2 different types. When they had originally told her that they thought there was nothing there. And she insisted on further testing, and anyway, they found this. And against my father's wishes, she went ahead and she did chemo. And so he very diligently right away went and researched all the things that she should be doing in order to not get sick when she had chemo, and to feel better, and to recover more quickly, and all these kinds of things. He was just looking whatever he could find. And so when he did that, and then he brought all these things home. He went to the health food store and brought all this stuff home to her, and got her to do certain things or not do certain things. And the only time that she was ever sick during her whole treatment was the one time when she got a little bit upset, a little bit irate, and decided that I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to go and eat what I want to eat, and I want to do what I want to do. And she was very, very sick for about a whole 24 hours. She was just violently ill. And then she quickly went back to, that regimen that my dad had created for her. And she was not sick for the whole rest of that treatment. And she, shared a few things when she was volunteering at the cancer center with a few of the people there, hopefully to help them. And so fast forwarding 20 years, my mom has never had cancer again. And so being, mindful and making those changes and figuring out what to do in order to restore health. And, because if we have a disease, or if we have some sort of health issue and we only band-aid it with medication, we are not going to actually get to the root of it. We're not going to eliminate it or lessen it or help, reverse that or anything. It's just going to be like a little bit of a band-aid that allows us to kind of function partly comfortably, but without getting rid of it. So I'm very pleased to say that never came back for her. But what I noticed as well at this same time was that during this whole time period, when my mom had that, her mother had cancer. And she also had breast cancer twice, 2 different times. My mom's was discovered at the same time. But my Nana had it 2 separate times, didn't change, didn't quit smoking until years later. Then she also had skin cancer twice. Again, didn't make very many changes in her life, just kept doing whatever she was doing. And then she finally died of lung cancer. So she had cancer 5 times before, at the end she was trying to make a few changes, and, there was too little too late. And so I look at those things. I look at, and then also within that whole time period, my dad had another issue with cholesterol, where his cholesterol was super high and his blood pressure was super high, and the doctors wanted to put him on medication. And he said, nope, I'm going to research this, and I'm going to see if I can do this with food and in certain ways of foods or whatever. And however he put it. And so, again, without a computer or anything, he just went and read. He went and talked to different people, different health professionals, different people at the health food store, read different books. And he actually did that. And he's never had to go on medication for any of that at all. This was, again, probably 15 years ago or so. So I looked at that growing up. And then as a young adult, and then I got married, and then I had children, and I have 3 children. So I was very blessed to just celebrate my 50th birthday in April. I have 3 kids. My son is 28. My oldest daughter is going to be 26 in just a few days, and my youngest one is 22. And when my youngest one was born, shortly after that, she was probably just under 2, maybe a year and a half or 2. And she kept waking up at night with stomach aches. And first of all, she wasn't waking up at night, but then she started waking up at night. And so the doctors did some x-rays and some testing, and they found that she had a blocked colon. And that was totally kind of a shock to everybody, because she was eliminating every day. So just a little bit of bathroom talk here. Sorry, but we got to do that kind of stuff when we're talking about health, because what comes out is indicative of what we're putting in, or what doesn't come out is indicative of what we're putting in. So, but anyway, it appeared that her system was functioning properly, but really it wasn't. And so, again, I could tell with different food patterns, different things that she would eat or not eat, or when she would have more water or less water, and how that was affecting her. And so I started watching that, and that sort of was the beginning of my, I've been in the fitness and nutrition industry since 1986. I was that kid in grade 12 who was bound and determined to be a fitness trainer, and I went and got my certification there while in grade 12. And that was, I was really excited about that. Volunteered for many, many years at the Kelowna Family Y, and taught classes at different places in town. So I've been in the industry a long time and seen a lot of different things, a lot of different products, a lot of different systems, a lot of different health things. And so I started looking at my daughter and what I could do for her. And it was a really, really long journey. And from what I know now, because I knew a small bit of what I know now, and even applying that small bit, I know now deep in my heart that had we not done anything, I'm sure my daughter would have ended up with colitis or Crohn's. And so just by making some changes, she is now very, very healthy. She was a gymnast all her life, still is. Now she teaches yoga as well too, and she's adapted into the new sport of highlining, which is basically walking a tightrope over a ravine, but you are tied to the strap, and it's a little bit disconcerting as a parent to watch. But when you're a really super athletic person, you got to keep finding that next thing. But my point was that she ended up being really, really healthy, but taking her to the doctor, and they were just providing minimal advice and medications, and then they'd say, okay, come back in 6 months. Watch what she's doing, adjust it however you see fit, and then come back in 6 months. And so following that, but doing what I was doing, it took years and years and years to finally get rid of all the medications and to put her on something natural, which in the end completely solved the problem. So nutrition and health is very near and dear to my heart and into my family. And so when I was able to meet this wonderful person named Mark McDonald, who I could get into the industry with and partner with somebody who was sharing health on a wide scale and helping, literally millions of people around the world, then that is when I decided that I would get certified and licensed as a nutritionist. And then actually my family might take me seriously too when I'm telling different people about different things and what would be helpful for them and how they could increase their level of health. Because, even though people in my family had found certain things and whatever, at that point, there was a little bit of skepticism with, about which things could be helped by food, and maybe no, not that, just this. But really, if you take a look at the statistics today, and they're even getting the numbers are getting greater as the days go on. And I was listening to a great talk by Dr. Hans Deal a few years ago, and his statistics at that point were he said between 65 and 75% of all lifestyle diseases can be reversed with food. So there's a huge number. So for people out there who are wondering what lifestyle diseases are, they are things like diabetes and heart disease and blood pressure and cholesterol and, things like that. Even some autoimmune things can be corrected with food. And there's just a whole bunch of things that we can do and with food, or the lack of it, because there's an abundance of food in this society that we live in here in North America. There's an abundance of food, yet nutritionally, most people are starving at a cellular level. And that is where the nourishment needs to happen in order for our bodies to be able to heal. So that's a little bit of my story and where I come from and why I do what I do. And so the program that I like to coach people in, or what I do coach people in and advise them in to get health, if any of you have read my column, I do write a column every second week for the Saturday edition of the Kelowna Daily Courier, which is also called For the Health of It. And if you've ever read my column or followed it, thank you so much, first of all, for reading and for listening today. And you'll notice that having read the column that I talk a lot about blood sugar stabilization and balance. And most people know that balance is a good thing, right? We want to have a lot of balance in our lives with whatever we're doing. so that we have time and energy to do all the things that we need to get done in a day or want to get done in a day. So there's that kind of balance, and then there's the balance that we create within our bodies, and that kind of balance is called homeostasis. And when we eat to balance our blood sugar, we create that homeostasis in our body. So if you've ever been around someone who has diabetes, you'll probably see them check their blood, right? So they take a little thing, a little prick, a little meter, and it tells them what sugar level their blood is at that moment. And then they are, you'll see them either eat or they'll take some insulin, or if they have an insulin pump, they'll use that. And so those are the kinds of things that they do. That is reactive medicine, though. So what they are doing is they're checking first, then they're reactively applying what they need to have happen in order to make the numbers where they should be to create that homeostasis in their bodies. What is more effective is to be proactive and to eat in a way that will stabilize your blood sugar and keep it stabilized throughout the day so that you don't have spikes or crashes, so you don't have highs and lows, so your body doesn't store fat and burn muscle, so that you become balanced, where your hormones are also balanced at that point too as well. So it affects a lot of our bodily systems just by eating to stabilize our blood sugar. It will bring down your cholesterol. It will bring down your blood pressure. It will bring down your blood sugar. It will give you more energy. It will help your immune system function better. It can reduce diabetes. It can. There's a whole wonderful bunch of benefits. It helps people lose weight. This is where people will lose weight. This is the only place physiologically where your body will release fat, is when your body is balanced, is when your blood sugar is stabilized. So you put your body into that space of homeostasis, your blood sugar is stable, and your body is releasing fat. Your muscle can then take up that fat and burn it as energy. So then you're increasing the energy. So a lot of you out there, I'm just going to guess that if you, in the afternoon comes around, sometimes people need a nap, or sometimes they get that 2 o'clock in the afternoon slump, 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, or you're hitting the Starbucks or the Tim Hortons for a coffee. If you're feeling that on a daily basis, that's an indicator your blood sugar is not being balanced. If you're having, peaks of energy and lows of lack of energy, then your blood sugar is not stable. If you're having trouble losing weight, your blood sugar is probably not stabilized. If you're having cholesterol or blood pressure issues or blood sugar issues, that's really big indicators that your blood sugar is not stable. Anything that's hormonal, stabilizing your blood sugar helps to balance your hormones, like I said before. So that's going to help your other systems there. So it becomes, a whole big a system of care when we do this for our bodies, and to put our bodies into that state where it's going to work for us instead of against us. And so this is where I coach people in not dieting, but in how to create a diet, how to change their diet rather, that's going to serve them. So not giving up the foods you love necessarily, but learning how to eat them in a way that's going to stabilize your blood sugar. So how do we eat to stabilize our blood sugar? We'll go over that too. And we say PFC every 3. So that's the little rhyme that I like to teach people. So you're going to eat a protein, a fat, and a carb, so PFC, every 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours throughout the day. So there's our rhyme, PFC every 3. So when you're doing that, and when you eat your breakfast, don't forget your breakfast. When you're eating your breakfast, within about an hour of when you get up, and then you're eating and fueling your body. So it's not just filling the hole in our stomach when we're hungry. You want to actually put in something that's going to nourish your body, right? So get rid of the packages. And so when I say protein, fat, and carb, yes, we need carbs. The carbs that I'm talking about, though, here are your fruits and vegetables. Those are carbohydrates. Not a lot of people know that. People think, I'm giving up carbs, and they're saying, I'm not eating any carbs. They're actually eating carbs if they're eating fruits and vegetables. And don't stop eating your fruits and vegetables. They have a lot of vitamins. They have a lot of minerals. They have nutrients, phytonutrients, antioxidants. You need those in your body. They nourish you at a cellular level, okay? So we need those. So if someone's telling you stop eating carbs, fruit is bad for you, this is that bad for you, we need to balance those things. Some things do have more sugar than other things. Some things do have a higher carb count than other things. Some things, as far as, meats and fats, they have, different contents within themselves as well too. But basically, when we're putting our macros together, our proteins, fats, and carbs together, diligently throughout the day, and eating those small meals all throughout the day, your blood sugar stays balanced and you have energy to burn, your health is improved, and it's just an amazing feeling and amazing results for people just doing that. I've seen so many amazing results with people, not just for their weight loss, but with other things as well too. So it's something very easy that everybody can do. I just gave you the tools, right? PFC every 3. And learning what makes up a protein or what makes up a carb or what makes up a fat is also very important too. And that's where, more education comes in. Sure, I know people know that protein is meat and protein is eggs. And sometimes people have a little bit of trouble with fat and they're wondering, well, I don't want to eat fat because I don't want to get fat. We need fat to burn fat. So you need to have fat in your diet because it helps to create that balance. If we're missing a component, it's out of balance. It's kind of like, I say our bodies are our vehicles that drive us through life. Just like your car gets you from A to B, drives you around town, takes you on vacation. Our bodies are our vehicle that takes us through life. Unlike our car, we only get one. There's no trade-ins, there's no lease deals, there's no upgrades, there's no factory recalls or anything like that. We've only got one. And so we have to keep that in the best running order we can. And unfortunately, with our bodies, people actually take care of their cars a lot better than they take care of their bodies. I've seen it. That not to say that everybody does, but there's quite a big number of people who do. You wouldn't put gas in the oil or oil in the gas or transmission fluid in the oil. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't mix up things, or you wouldn't just not fill up the oil, or you wouldn't just not put the fluids in, or you wouldn't take the car in to get the brakes done when it needs to. Like, you would always keep the maintenance done up in your car so that it doesn't let you down, right? That's what we want to do for our bodies. We want to nourish our bodies. We want to put all those things in that our body actually needs so that it can keep us functioning and optimally getting throughout our day, not just, making it to the end of the day and then crashing into bed at night thinking, oh my gosh, I finally made it. There's another day. We want to have energy to spare at the end of the day. And you're going to bed thinking, wow, that was a great day. I'm going to fuel up and be ready for tomorrow and have that great sleep. So there's that's a different sort of a mindset, but we want to try and put that to people that you need to take care of your body better than you take care of your vehicle. Because honestly, you can get another car, but you can't get another body. So today's topic I would like to talk on, now that I've given you the background of our PFCs and what we need to do to stay balanced, because this season right now that we've just started in with Thanksgiving, we just had a couple of weeks ago, starting with Thanksgiving and then all the way into about April, whenever Easter happens. So Thanksgiving in Canada all the way to Easter. I call that the season of food. Because if you think about it, there's an occasion after occasion after occasion. So we've had Thanksgiving, big dinners there, and lots of fun and family gatherings, lots of food occasions. And then if you have U.S. friends, or if, especially for the snowbirds, I wanted to touch on this for the snowbirds, they head down to the States, and then they're having Thanksgiving number 2 by the time they get there. So there's 2 occasions. Back to here in Canada and in the States, we have Halloween coming up. Our Halloween's just passed, actually, by the time you're listening to this. And then there's, we head into all the Christmas parties. So doesn't matter where you work, doesn't matter, there's probably a party for you and for your spouse, or there's occasions everywhere that are coming up. All the treats are out. All the samples at Costco end up being lots and lots of chocolate and all these decadent things even. It doesn't matter where you go, it seems like there's always these food options. And then there's Christmas itself that comes with all the big day of food. And then there's New Year's, more days, more celebrations. Then we hit February, where we have Valentine's Day, the biggest chocolate day of the year. And it's a short month. So then we're heading into March. We have spring break, and then people are heading off to their all-inclusive vacations, or just vacationing. And that seems to be the tipping point where people sort of want to try and get back in shape before those trips happen. So that seems to be a little bit of a health push for people. And then we head into Easter, the last big sort of dinner occasion before we scoot on into the spring and summer. And then we kind of have a little bit of a relief there, but for spring, summer, and fall, with regards to scheduled big food events is how I like to call it. So right now we're in that massive season of food. And instead of, getting through that season and just dreading every time you have a party and thinking, oh my gosh, I can't eat this, or I'm going to be gaining weight this season again, and oh, whatever, don't worry about it, I'll deal with it in the spring. And then spring comes and there's panic and you're not happy with your body and you're feeling like, okay, well, this is just part of getting older, or this is just part of, whatever you put it down to. It doesn't have to be. If you learn how to eat to stabilize your blood sugar, how to balance your PFCs, you can eat out at these occasions. You can make the choices that are going to work for you, not against you. You can learn how to have that glass of wine and not have your blood sugar spike. Because every time your blood sugar spikes, we store fat. And every time our blood sugar drops, when we've skipped a big meal, then our body burns muscle. Now, as I said before, the thing that's going to burn off the fat when your body releases it is muscle. So if you're finding that your metabolism has slowed down, or you've heard someone say, oh, my metabolism is so slow, I just can't lose weight anymore, then that is likely what has happened, that they have either, crash dieted in the past, or tried a whole bunch of different dieting things, or just they're not eating in a way that's balanced throughout the day, even, they just don't know any better. And what they're doing is spiking their blood sugar and storing fat and then crashing it and burning muscle. Even with healthy foods, you can do that all day long. There are people that, I've coached in my office. They come to see me and they have really eaten quite healthily. They're just, the balance is off, or they're not eating very many meals per day. And so that stretching it out and having long periods of time before your meal, before the next meal, is when the blood sugar drops. And if you're not a diabetic, you wouldn't be checking that. You wouldn't know that, right? The diabetics will check that. But again, we want to be preemptive, and we want to keep our body balanced in that nice fat burning zone, not just for, to keep the fat burning, but to keep us feeling energized and alert and full of life for each and every day, so we can enjoy it to the fullest. So as we're doing that with this season of food, let's talk about what we can do. So all the seasons of food, there's parties, right? You're going to be going out for dinner with friends. You're going to be invited over to a friend's house, or you're having people over to your house. Christmas office parties, just big Christmas gatherings. Family comes into town. They want to take you out for dinner, or they're staying at your house and they're ordering out, or ordering in rather, so that you don't have to cook. There's all these things that happen, right? So how can we minimize the carnage, is what I like to say, and get through it without gaining that weight? Nobody wants to gain that holiday 10 or 15, right? We don't want to do that. We don't want to look like Santa on the other end of the holiday season. We want to maintain our health and yet still enjoy some of these wonderful treats throughout the whole season. So what do we need to do? Okay, so my little tips for events. So this can be for any event. This can be even just for going out for dinner. You're going out for dinner with your family on Friday night. What do I do? Okay, so you want to make sure that when you get up in the morning, every morning, you're eating a really good balanced breakfast, your proteins, your fats, and your carbs. If you're skipping your proteins and just having a bowl of fruit or having a piece of toast, all you're doing is spiking your blood sugar. Okay, and what happens when we spike? We store fat. So we need to have a protein with that. Have some scrambled eggs, make an egg white omelet or something like that to go with your fruits, your vegetables, piece of toast if you must. I don't eat bread, and I try and get people to go away from anything that's packaged as much as possible. That being said, it's always a choice. And if you don't have any health issues at the time, staying balanced will help keep you from that. And then, of course, you need a fat. So nut butters are great fats, avocados, coconut oil, the egg yolk in your yolk, those are fats too. So all those people out there are saying, oh, I shouldn't be eating eggs because my cholesterol is high. That's not necessarily why your cholesterol is high, possibly because of the balance. Eggs have a lot of great things in them. They have a lot of omegas. They have a lot of wonderful nutrients that we need to nourish our body. There's our B vitamins in there. And so you need to have those. And that's not to say that you have to have eggs every day. You don't have to. But if you choose to, balance it out. Have a couple eggs for the guys. A lady have one and some egg whites. And then you're going to feel better. You're going to start your day off feeling really good because, number one, you fueled properly. You've eaten something that's balanced, and that's going to get you for about 3 hours. Then you're going to have a mid-morning snack. What do you need to have for a snack? Well, again, what's your PFC? So it becomes a little bit more of planning. You want to you plan your day, your appointment schedule, where you have to go and who you have to meet with and all that kind of stuff. So plan out your day so that you can take things with you. You might want to take a protein bar. You might want to take a protein shake. You might want to take some fruit and nuts with you, or some veggies and hummus, or, some little sticks of turkey pepperoni or something like that, and put things together that are going to keep you fueled and not hangry. No one likes to hang around a hangry person anyway, right? We've all been there. Kids getting cranky, husbands or wives getting cranky when you're on a trip. Nobody wants that. So just think about that. And if you're going to be out for a while, make sure you take something with you, or be prepared to stop and pick something up that's, healthy. So try some of those places where you can, pick your own foods. I like to stop at Chop Leaf in Kelowna if I'm out, or Nature's Fair, places like that. Try to avoid the fast food restaurants, but if you have to go there, you can always order things without a bun. You can always order things on a salad, and that's going to minimize, it's going to keep that blood sugar from spiking. It's going to fuel you and get you on your way pretty fast. So that's a few little tips there. And so going back to the dinner, so you're starting out your day healthily and fueled, and you're on your way. A lot of people will say, well, I'm going out for dinner, so I'm going to have an early lunch, and then I'm not eating for the whole rest of the day until dinner because I want to save it up for dinner. What those people are effectively doing is plummeting their blood sugar. It's dropping way below normal, and it's burning muscle. When you ever get that gnawing feeling, anyone ever had that? You know what I'm talking about, right? Where you haven't eaten for way too long and your body's just going, feed me right now. You feel like you want to maybe chew your arm off or something. That is literally your body needs to provide some fuel for your brain. And our brain never shuts off. So our brain needs constant supply of food. So what your body does is it takes that fuel from your muscle in order to feed your brain. If we are not going to feed it, our body gets it from somewhere else, and it takes it from our muscle. It will not take it from any stored fat that we may have. I mean, really, our bodies are smart, right? They don't want the bad stuff. They want the good stuff. So it burns off some of the muscle so your brain can have the food. Now, what that does, like we said, is it slows down your metabolism. So now you haven't eaten all afternoon. Your dinner's late. You ate, early before noon, and you haven't eaten for hours and hours, 6 hours. You're having dinner. What's the first thing they put on the table for a restaurant is bread. And people just dive right into that because they're starving. So now you have this processed item that you're putting into your body, and it goes right to your blood sugar really quick and spikes it. So your body instantly starts storing fat. Or they'll have a drink. They'll get there and have alcohol. Again, without food in your stomach, that works the same as bread. So instantly spikes your blood sugar, and you're instantly storing fat. So now let's try a different scenario, and say you had your nice healthy breakfast early in the morning, you had your snack mid-morning, you had a great lunch, you had a little snack at maybe 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You didn't feel like eating something too big, but you needed something so that your blood sugar would stay stable. So you had a little something, and then you went to dinner. You weren't starving. You could show up, you could sit there, you could have a glass of water or a cup of tea or whatever it was, and you weren't feeling compelled to reach for that bread basket or order some to stave off the hunger, because you're just getting ready to eat. Your body's saying, oh yeah, I could eat now. I'm getting ready to eat, as you're reading the menu. And then when your food comes, you are ready to eat. You enjoy it, and your blood sugar, again, remains stable. So then if you're deciding to have that glass of wine with your dinner, you're less likely to be spiking and storing fat. If you decide to have a dessert after dinner, well, you've already had a whole bunch of good things in there first. You've got your protein in there from maybe you had some steak, or maybe you had some chicken or salmon. You've got that in there. You probably likely had some steamed vegetables with that. And then, whatever they use as the fat, because there will be always something with fat in it on your plate if you're at a restaurant. So you never have to worry about that. Maybe you had a little bit of dressing on your salad. And so you've had all this wonderful balance, and then so it's not so bad if you're having a glass of wine, or you're having a little dessert or something like that. And then 3 hours later, you want to stay on that program, and you want to have something small again, unless you're going to bed within about an hour after dinner. But again, as long as we're up, we want to keep fueling our bodies. So if you've listened to Oprah or anybody else say, hey, don't eat after 6 or don't eat after 7, if you are up until 10 or 11 o'clock at night and your last meal was at 6 o'clock, you need to have something else before you're heading to bed, because that whole time when we're sleeping is a fast. That's what breakfast means, break the fast, right? So we're fasting, we're not giving our body any fuel. And if you're still awake in that time space, when it's time for another PFC meal, then you need to fuel your body. It doesn't mean that you have to have a huge one. It just means that you need to have a little something. And as you are diligent and consistent with this, and as you are fueling your body on a regular basis in this way, it will begin to trust you, and it starts releasing fat, turns on your metabolism, and keeps it turned on. So your body is efficiently burning and using the food that you're fueling it with, because you're actually now consciously thinking about fueling your body as opposed to just putting something in your stomach because you're getting hungry. There's a whole big difference there. It'd be the same as, you have a really, really fancy sports car, and it requires a special type of fuel, and you're just going to be cheap and put the cheap fuel in there. Well, it's not going to run very well. Same thing here. They'll both run, but one is going to be optimal and one is going to be, less than desirable, right? So we want to fuel our body with the best balance and the best quality possible whenever we can, and we're going to get the best results. Just stands to reason, right? So there's my little spiel about the PFC and how that can work for you, and how can we do that in our season of food. So if we're thinking about the going out for dinner, and with all our holidays, that's going to follow the same suit. So if you have a dinner coming up, if you've got all these occasions coming up, and they're big, extravagant things like that, you're going to take a look. My other tip here is take a look at what's offered. If you are invited to someone's house, always, always, always offer to bring something, and bring something that you would feel comfortable eating, so that if you get there and it's a whole lot of stuff that you are not going to be comfortable with, or maybe you even have a food allergy or something, or you just know that it's not going to be keeping your blood sugar stable, or it's not going to serve you in any way, you have something that you've brought that you can then contribute and eat as well with other people. The other thing is, people go, well, sometimes I just want to eat that, and that's okay too. Everybody has those days where they're just like, I don't want to worry about anything. I don't want to balance anything. I just want to eat that lasagna and that cheesecake. Okay, so eat that lasagna and that cheesecake. And then the same rules apply. 3 hours later, get back on track. And if you're feeling overstuffed and really, really full in about 3 hours, wait till 4 hours. If you're still feeling like, oh my word, I am not putting anything else into my body, my tip then is to still have a little something, a couple little bites of something, or blend yourself up a protein shake that's not too thick, a good balanced one, maybe just half of one, and sip on that. And what that does is it just lets your body know that you're going to continually give it the best options to keep it fueled, and it will still stay turned on and burn fat for you, and then keep your body feeling good. And you will recover much faster. And you'll notice if you do this through the holiday season, continually through the holiday season, that you will not come out heavier on the other end. You're gonna start burning fat. You're gonna start using the food efficiently that you're giving to your body. And when you're going to come through this whole season of food, not really have to worry about if your shorts are still going to fit when the hot weather comes. You're not going to have to go looking for that diet. And that's what we really want. That's what I really would love to let people know, is that you don't need a diet to get to where you need to be with your health. You need to change your diet sometimes. Yep, you can use that D word in that respect there, but diet is a 4-letter nasty word, and they don't work. That's why there's so many of them out there. The statistics right now are saying that, every 90 days, someone's buying a new diet book, trying a new program, buying something new online. Every 90 days, there's a lot of people out there looking for something. I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry out there right now. $272 billion actually in health and wellness is being purchased in North America out there, and weight loss is a big part of that. And so if we are going to start getting educated on that and teach ourselves what we need to do, it's a very simple concept. It might not be so simple to get started. Again, it requires a little bit of planning and look into what you need to do, but really, when you think about it and start applying a few of these principles, it's not really that difficult. And just starting off, progress over perfection, little bits at a time, the 1% rule. What's the 1% rule? Can you do something 1% better tomorrow for your health than you did today? Absolutely. everybody can do 1% better tomorrow than they did today. That's just kind of a given, and you'll probably do way more than 1% tomorrow than you did today when you have the knowledge to do that. So I like to tell people, just think about that way, the 1% rule and progress over perfection, because the small things that you do consistently over time is going to be what gets you the results in the end. And so if small things over time done consistently can get us the results that we want, the wrong things, even small things done consistently over time, will give us things that we don't want, will give us negative results. And so I wanted to touch a little bit on that too, because sometimes there's things that we do that are not so great for our health, and we're not really realizing that we're doing it. And so I wanted to share a little story because it's with my mom. And I'm not really picking on the snowbirds here, but there's a big demographic of people that head down south every year, and they want to go down. They get warm. A lot of retired people, and they just want to be where it's nice and warm and get out of the snow. And I totally get that. It's wonderful. And a lot of that has to do, and as you're going away, it's the travel mentality, right? So whether you're going away for a week or 2 weeks or 2 months or 6 months, a lot of times when you're not at your home, where you naturally call your home base, where you get your mail kind of thing, that's where you're thinking the holiday mindset really takes hold. And the holiday mindset is fine for a week or two or whatever. Sometimes even up to a month, not so bad. You eat out, you maybe drink a little bit more than you normally do. You don't really exercise because you're in that holiday mindset, holiday mode. And then you come back and you get back on track. You say, oh my gosh, I did too much of this and that, and I'm just going to get back on track. And then you start doing the things you normally did at home when you get back home. And so I just noticed some things, though, with my parents don't live in Kelowna anymore. They live up close by 100 Mile in a little place called Deca Lake. And so it's about a 4.5 hour drive from Kelowna. And they come down quite frequently to visit us. And then they do go south for the winter. And not for the whole winter, though. They usually stay here for Christmas, and then they go, and then they come back in the spring. So they're gone for about 4 months, 3 to 4 months. And when they first started going, they would go just for a couple weeks or maybe a month, and they do smaller trips, and then it got longer and longer and longer, and now they're gone for at least 3 months at a time, 4 months at a time. And that's, I think, like how it starts out. You test it out a little bit, you go on different holidays and vacations, and then you find a place that you like, and you go there for a long period of time. And so when my parents drive down here, they eat really healthy at home. They have great habits, and they never miss breakfast and all those kinds of things. On the travel days, I was finding with my mom, she'd always tell us, we get up early and we get on the road right away and we want to just get going. So they don't eat their breakfast. They wait until they, get halfway here, and then they stop somewhere, and they stop at a fast food place, and they'll get a breakfast sandwich or something like that, and or they'll get the healthy oatmeal. And just a little aside here, anything you're getting from a fast food restaurant, even if it appears to be healthy, is not. It's loaded with salt, it's loaded with sugar, it's loaded with a whole bunch of things you would not normally put into it if you were making it in your own kitchen. And it's just under the it's under the guise of being healthy, because we're calling it oatmeal, right? Or we're calling it breakfast something. Anyway, so they would stop at these places, get some of these things that are not the best for you. Then they get into town, they go do their errands, and maybe I'm working, or maybe they didn't want to bother me, so they go out for lunch, and then they come later in the afternoon, and then they arrive and we have dinner together, right? So now they've eaten out twice at least during that trip down here. And then while they're here visiting, they like to, you don't have to cook, and so we'll order something in for you. And finally I just said, nope, I would love to cook. I love it. I just want to make this for you, and that would be okay, because I knew that they were doing this on the way down. And then they do that on the way back as well. And then while they're visiting here during the day, when I'm working or when I'm seeing clients, then they would go out and visit their friends and do whatever they're going to do, but they're out and about. So again, they'd stop somewhere and pick up food. And, my mom's thought was, well, we're getting healthy stuff. I got this or I got that. And again, it's under the guise of being healthy because it's the quality of the place that you're stopping at, as well as, choosing the food choices. And so there's a whole big issue there with quality. So then, of course, they stay here for a couple days, maybe a week. Then they're heading back home. Then they're doing that same routine on the way home. Nope, they don't want to bother me for breakfast in the morning. They'd just rather get on the road and stop somewhere later and then, do their shopping, do their big Costco shop in Kamloops before they get home, probably eat at Costco, and then head off back home and then make their dinner at home. So, or maybe even eat something that they've picked up at Costco. So there's all these extra things that they wouldn't normally do. So I started asking my mom about that. And she was saying, oh, yeah, no, we hardly ever eat out. We never eat out. And I said, well, what about, when you drive down here? Oh, well, those are, only when we're on holidays we do that. I said, okay. I said, so you hardly ever do it when you're at home? Like you never go out? Oh, well, we go out once a week or only when we go into town for groceries. Okay, so as you see, it starts to add up. And she wasn't really seeing it. And then they're heading down south. And so they have a truck and a trailer, and they pull it. And they like to drive and take their trailer and camp along the way. And they go to bluegrass festivals and play their music and perform. And my dad builds guitars. And so there's a whole big community with that. And they have a great time. And so they're parking along all these places along the way. And when they're stopped, they can make their own food and stuff. But while they're driving from point A to point B, again, they don't want to get anything out in the trailer. My mom doesn't want to have to do dishes and all that kind of stuff. So they stop at fast food restaurants on the way down or things that are really quick and easy. And if it's taking you, they don't want to, rush it or push it when they're driving. So if it's taking 4 or 5 days drive all the way down there, you're eating a lot of meals on the road and you're only cooking the ones where you're camping overnight. So we started adding those all up. I started chatting with her about that and letting her know that. And then when they're down south, they visit with friends and they're going out for dinner and someone's having a potluck and we're going here and we're going there. And she said, well, we're on holidays. We only do that when we're on holidays. I said, yes, but now your holidays that used to be a week or two where you'd fly somewhere are now 3 to 4 months. So you start adding all that up along with the times that they drive back and forth to visit us, along with the times that they eat out when they go into town. And when they're normally at home, when they just, don't feel like cooking or go out with friends or whatever, that made up almost about 60% of their food intake for the year. It was almost 60% of their meals. And so when we figured that out and she really understood that, wow, it was a big mind shift because we honestly really don't know how much we're eating out unless we really think about it or how many times we're making poor choices. And eating out necessarily once in a while isn't necessarily bad, And there's a lot of great places that we can make better choices with. And so if eating out is part of your thing, and if eating out is something that you're going to continue to do, and it's part of what you already do during your everyday or your every week, and then it's magnified when you go on holidays, in order to make some changes in your health if you need to, or to maintain good health, or to improve your health, reverse disease, slow down aging, get rid of aches and pains, lose some weight, help with arthritis, help with high blood pressure, help with cholesterol, help with better skin, all these kinds of things, help with your energy level. There has to be more quality choices when you're eating out. Things that you can pick and choose, things that are leaving out the processed items. So, if you're going out somewhere and instead of getting a chicken wrap or something like that, or a chicken burger, ask for the grilled chicken breast in a lettuce wrap or on top of a salad with some dressing. And then you're getting more of a lean, clean idea of a food. So that's just one example. But it's interesting how when we start to map things out and really take stock of what we're doing, we can really see how much we're actually doing it. So following those conversations, then my mom, she wasn't quite sure, we had this little talk and I said, well, if you really want to know how many times you're eating out, I said, get the calendar out and just put a check mark there every time you go somewhere, every time you buy something to eat or drink that's not at home. And she was really finding it interesting because then she would message me every couple of days or at the end of the week, and she'd say, yep, there's no check marks on my calendar, because she's now consciously thinking. So she would tell me, yeah, when we went into town, I packed our own snacks. I made some stuff from home. I brought our protein shakes along with us, or I brought a protein bar. She was consciously making an effort to bring something from home so she wouldn't have to stop and eat out, or so she wouldn't eat at the Costco food fair. They wouldn't go to, Tim Hortons or somewhere and get a breakfast sandwich. They had what they needed, what they would normally have from home, and they're taking it with them. And those things that they were taking with them, of course, are healthier, more wholesome, more nourishing, and PFC balanced, right? Your proteins, fats, and carbs balanced to give them the results that they needed and wanted. And I can tell you, really, then afterwards, she was saying a couple weeks later, or maybe about a month or so later, they came back to visit, and she said, I've lost a little bit of weight off my tummy, and she was quite pleased with that, just from making these little tiny changes. And so I was really excited for her, because you could see that, she was doing all the right things at home, but just the stuff that they were choosing to do because they're in a hurry or because it was easy or whatever when they were going out was not really serving them very well. And making those choices to find out the foods and the combinations that work for you and serve you in a healthful way are really, really important. So I want to challenge everybody out there listening today to do that, to see if you can maybe open your calendar and put a check mark. If you have a physical calendar in the cupboard or on the fridge, or in your, maybe it's just in your phone or something, put a little mark in there every time that you choose to buy something out or eat out rather than eating at home. And then add them up at the end of the month and really see how much that is. And then I challenge you to then reduce that. See if you can reduce that, one or two of those items every week, and replace that with something more healthful from home. And if you have to take a high quality protein shake or a protein bar or something with you, then do that, because those costs are still going to be way cheaper than what the meal was that you're purchasing out. So it's still a win-win. You can still find easy and nourishing ideas that are a win-win. And then that money you save, you can put it towards that trip that you're going down south, or your Christmas shopping, or maybe, you're thinking that you need some vitamin supplements or something like that. I'm always thinking about putting my extra money into some sort of health alternative. That's just what I do, of course, right? But you know what? It's there. You'll have that a little bit of extra money. So it's kind of a win-win there for everybody. And I just wanted to share that little story with people, because it was really quite an eye-opener for both my parents, and it was quite nice. Also, a lot of those things, so we're heading back to the balance here with the PFC, and I just wanted to touch on a few things, because we talked about lifestyle disease at the beginning of the show, and lifestyle diseases being the biggie out there is being diabetes. There's those different types of diabetes. There's several types of diabetes, actually, and not many people are aware that there's the type 1 that people are born with. There's the type 2, which used to be called adult onset diabetes, because it came on in the adult years from lifestyle choices and things people were doing to their body, or not doing to their body, or not doing for their body, that allowed their sugars to elevate to a point, a constant point, to where the pancreas was not delivering the insulin properly. That's what diabetes is. It's now called type 2 diabetes because it's no longer just for adults. We're finding kids, very, very young kids now even, that are being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. So they're no longer calling it adult onset diabetes, which is very, very sad, because now those poor habits have now transferred down a generation. And honestly, the last statistics that I heard about 2 years ago were this generation that's coming up, which would be about my kids' age, somewhere between the kids are, your kids' age right now, if you're about my age. Those kids are projected to not live as long as us. And that's really scary. And that's, it's through nothing other than just the statistics of where the health is going right now. And it's a big cost to medical. It's a big cost everywhere, we don't want to do that. We want to reverse that. And absolutely, lifestyle diseases can be reversed. So there's the type 1 where you're born with, the type 2 that used to be called adult onset diabetes. And there's a few others, but I won't go into all of them. But I will touch on type 3 diabetes, which probably most of you have not heard. But about 10 years ago, even now, it's not really, I don't hear it mainstream very often, but Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and MS, those kinds of things, Alzheimer's specifically, is being touted as type 3 diabetes. So it's letting you know that these kinds of things that we are doing or not doing that affect our sugar levels in our body and that affect the balance in our body is not just affecting our physical, like the way we can move and function every day. It's also affecting our minds. And I was reading a book recently, and there was a study in there done by the doctor who wrote the book. I read two just recently. So it was, I believe it was Dr. J. Davidson's. It was the Five Steps to Health Protocol by Dr. J. Davidson. I believe that's the book where it had the study in. And anyway, it was a study showing they were going to follow people. So they got a group of people, they were going to follow them throughout about the next 20 years and just see cognitively where they were at the beginning and how their cognitive function declined or remained the same, or what happened to it basically over a couple decades. And so when, to do with an Alzheimer's study. So they brought these people in, got them all set up. This was their control group, and did their cognitive functional testing. And for the people, based on the national average, this was a U.S. study, but Canada and the U.S. are pretty close, pretty similar in where we stand with obesity rates and diabetes and all those kinds of things. So they got this control group together, and based on what the national average IQ level was, that's where they based the testing on. And the people in the study that came to the study that had already reported having some sugar issues or maybe being pre-diabetic or things like that in their life before coming to the study were already measuring below the national average with IQ, with cognitive function, which is really quite alarming. So we know that sugars and imbalances are affecting our cognitive function. They are most definitely affecting our minds, and it's causing some great strife with people and great health challenges. And it doesn't have to be that way. And there are things we can do to help minimize that and to slow down that process, or to maybe even reverse and eliminate that process. There is a coach friend that I have who coaches. He lives in Colorado now. An amazing coach named Dan Miller, and he has had some clients where he's told me, he's got them on the program, got their blood sugar stabilized, recommended a few certain supplements to, depending on what that person's physical needs are and what have you. And someone who had come to him that was already having some Alzheimer type challenges, maybe early onset, improved 40%. This is just one of his clients. So it's not really a clinical study, but just one of the clients that he had improved 40% due to following dietary changes and using natural supplements and eliminating processed foods and all those types of things. And so when we can see this happening, we have hope, and we can put those things in place for people and let them experience some better health. My mom was also experiencing a few memory challenges and things like that. And with refocusing on these things with diet and eliminating a lot of the stuff, and then supplementing with a great, really good vitamin and some stem cell supplements, things like that. She's no longer having those challenges, and which is really, really nice, because she's only 72. So we want to live long and strong and healthy and enjoy our lives, and because we're here, and we don't just want to live longer. The studies are showing that people are living longer, but getting sick sooner. So back when, the projected age was, the maximum age was around the 60, 65 age, way back when. And then now it's projected, way past 70s into the 80s. People are living farther, even into their 90s quite easily now. But they're still getting sick earlier than what they were before, which means now they're living longer with these challenges, and it doesn't have to be so. So anyway, thank you for tuning in today to For the Health of It. I will be on every Saturday morning on the Okanagan Valley Radio show, and you can find that at OkanaganValleyRadio.com. And you can find me. Please, if you'd like to get some more health tips and have some success and some support along with your weight loss and health journey, you can join my Facebook group. It's free. It's called 8 Weeks is All It Takes, the digit number 8. 8 weeks is all it takes, and just request to join, and I will gladly add you. And you can find me also on my website at fuelignitethrive.com, and I would love to hear your comments and feedback from what you heard today. If you have any questions, you can message me on that website there again, fuelignitethrive.com. So thank you again so much for joining in, and I look forward to hearing from you, and have a wonderful weekend.